right?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another ghetto episode of Two Knicks Chicks, where you got Diva Locks just blurting things out. But this is how we starting off the show. Listen, in good news fashion, the Knicks have been on a roll. They've been posting, toasting, coasting, and might I add, playing some defense, which I love to see. We're gonna go back. Diva Locks has somewhere to be. So we're gonna go back and recap the Grizzlies game because honestly, I thought that was the Knicks' best game of the season.
Yeah,
I
for
haven't
sure.
seen the Knicks play like that. So to me, and it wasn't because how many points the Knicks won by. It was the fashion and the manner and the way that the Knicks won that game. So, you know, and you know what? When I looked at the stats for that game, and I remember you telling me this, the Knicks led in every quarter.
Yeah,
But
yep.
the Knicks won that game 106-143 at home. They're currently sitting at 31-16, still sitting comfortably for the most part in the third in the East. That game to me, I thought the Knicks played good defense. They were running and gunning. Memphis was clearly off. It was a sloppy game for them. But do
Wow.
you think that if Memphis played better, the Knicks would have still had them in that game?
No, it would have been tough. Memphis had what, like 26 turnovers.
Yeah, they had a lot of
That
turnovers.
that's unheard of and unprecedented for that team. So I
Right.
think if they would have minimized their turnovers, they would have won, but I don't think they would have beat them in the fashion that, like you said, in which they did beat them and won. You know,
Right.
I was a pound and they gave Memphis. So it would have been. I think it would have been closer than what it was.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I was, and then not to mention, Ja didn't really go off like I thought he was gonna go off. Edie didn't really go off either. He only had 9 points, 11
Yeah,
boards. Ja finished with only 10 points.
yeah,
It was basically Desmond Bain and Jaren Jackson Jr. that carried them for that game. But for the Knicks, I thought it was a well-rounded game. OG Anunoby finished with 15 points. Josh Hart was a quiet game for him. He had 10 boards, 5 assists. Carl Anthony Towns did finish with a double-double, 27 points, 11 rebounds. McCall had 28 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. Jalen Brunson had 20 points and only had to play 25 minutes. So good for him. He did get in foul trouble a little early in that game, but still, the Knicks were able. I thought what was more impressive was that they proved that they can get it done without Brunson. Deuce McBride came alive in that game, had 14 points. Precious Achua, again, I'm going to stand by what I've been saying with Precious. He's been playing really well as of late. He finished with 14 points, and Cameron Payne had a solid game with 11 points. Landry Shamet, 12 minutes, 6 points in that game. And Tibbs was actually able to play a little bit more of the bench as well. And I think that's another thing that we noticed that's changed is that Tibbs has been playing the bench and seeming like he's extending that trust factor with the bench, which that's that's the smart thing to do because I've been saying this, lessen up some of the load and the pressure off of your starters and your main bench guys so this way they could be prepared for the postseason.
yeah, for sure.
So I, for the most part, and let me just finish off with the stats. So the Knicks were 14 of 18 from the free throw line. Again, I've talked about this a few times with the Knicks when it comes to their free throws. They've been a little off this season. 3 pointers, they were 17 for 44 at 38%. Field goal percentage, they was at 51%, which isn't too bad. They finished with 46 total rebounds. They had 32 assists. That speaks volumes, that stat alone to me. That shows that the Knicks are moving the ball. They're playing unselfish ball. And they're doing what I've been saying that they should do that helps them out. They're cutting without the basket. They're moving without the basket. They're cutting and moving without the ball, which is beautiful to see. They finished with 7 blocks. The Knicks had 20 steals. Again, a big part of that was also because Memphis was playing really sloppy. So it was like they had those turnovers. Basically, they were at a given for the Knicks. But I think also another stat that really stood out for me was that the Knicks only had 10 turnovers. When the Knicks have 10, 11 turnovers or less, they're more than likely going to be successful at getting a W in a game. And I just thought it was also the Knicks' energy that also played a big factor in. It was also the Knicks' energy that played a big factor in this game that to me made the difference. But the 10 turnovers compared to Memphis 26, and then the Knicks, another solid stat that stood out for me, they had 70 points in the paint against Memphis. Memphis did have 60. But I think this game, to me, the movement and the way the Knicks played this game, this was truly their best game of the season.
Yeah, I, I say that too. I before they won this game, I said that game that they played Denver in was like one of the best games that they played. But this was, and I guess it's just just more ball movement. It's like the more they play, the more gelling they do. The cohesiveness you see it, the chemistry is there.
Right,
um, Josh made a, a comment, in the post game for the Denver game. He said something about the ego less, and he said, don't take it for, like, don't run with it.
right.
So I guess you gotta, when you do make a statement like that, you gotta do it in jest, and do it, in a joking manner, because you don't want to take it out of context. So it's like, you wonder, like, like, what he said, previously, like, you know sometimes the guys do got to take a look at themselves, say, like, listen here, we do, like, our end goal, we want to get to that Eastern Conference final, and we got to play like like a contending team, you know um and that was just, man, it was a well played game. Like, you really saw the wings, like, just go to work,
Right,
and I mean, they had 10 steals in the first half. And unlike
right.
Memphis, they forced them into 14 turnovers in the first half alone. So you just see, like, everybody, playing with, got their hands up, and moving without the ball. So it's just a testament as to the more they play, the better they're gonna, or they're gonna continue to gel.
Yeah, I think that was what I titled this particular show. Like, are the Knicks finally clicking? And I think that they are. I think
Oh
this
yeah.
team is finally. I saw Carl speak about that in the post game, and he basically said, like, yeah, when we first started, he was like, I was new, Mikal Bridges was new. He said, and I've heard a few of them say that. OG and Anobi even said the same thing, where they feel like they're all starting to gel and they're all starting to click now, and things are coming together for them. They feel a lot more comfortable. So this is, I think, as fans, Knicks fans, what we were waiting to see from this team. Like, we were waiting for them to find their rhythm and find their footing together, because we know what they could do individually, but to see them be able to do it as a team, is great to see. So, I'm liking what I'm seeing from this Knicks team. And then, of course, they continued on yesterday when they played Denver, and the Knicks have had their hand and have been able to control and beat Denver so far this season, which is good to see. Considering Denver's one of the top teams, and this is also what we want to see from the Knicks, is to be able to beat those better teams. The Knicks beat Denver 122 to 112. Another thing that stood out with this Denver game, like the Memphis game, the Knicks led in every quarter. So
Hmm.
that's another key pivotal point. But the Knicks played really good, solid basketball in this game. OG Anunoby finished with 23 points, another solid game from him. Josh Hart, which I believe Josh was considered questionable with sore right knee, but he still played. He finished with 15 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists. Carl Anthony Towns finished with a double double, didn't score a whole lot of points, but listen, whatever he did give, it helped out. Finished with 14 points, 10 rebounds. Mikal Bridges, solid game from him, but it was a quiet one. Finished only with 13 points. He was off. Jalen Brunson went off in that game, so he carried the load. And listen, this is what we were talking about when it comes to balance with Jalen Brunson, and this is one of those games where he had to take over. And listen, he capitalized, and we got the W. He finished with 30 points, 15 assists. That's what I want to see from Brunson. Pass the ball.
Yeah.
15 assists, setting guys up. Precious Achua, again, he didn't have a whole lot of points. He had 8 points, 3 rebounds, but he did a lot of little things that's not going to show up on the stat sheet. Deuce McBride also, he seems to be awake. I hope he stays awake. He had 12 points, and Cameron Payne had 7 points as well to add. What stood out for you watching the Denver game?
Oh man, it was a lot. Another strong game from OG. Like they said, OG seems to get up for Denver. Hey, I'm not mad at that. That's a good thing. And like you said, Brunson. Like I don't mind him games like this. I don't mind because he didn't force it. It's the games that where he forced it, where he feels like he has to take the game into his hands, and he sort of forgets about his teammates, and then the trust factor wanes with him. But when you get 15 assists, like, you can't be mad at that, because guess what, like you say, he's sharing the ball. So
Mm-hmm.
games like this is, like you said, that's what you want to see from him. um what stood out, that fourth quarter was sealed, that was like kind of sealed that win, because Denver came within four, but it was
Yeah,
Precious, Deuce, and Payne, like they just like, nah, like, so they stepped in and stepped up, so that was like, just refreshing to see. um and Joker holding him, like, he
yeah,
practically held to a season like low. He wasn't able to go off. Yeah, he got in foul trouble. That first, that first quarter. But oh well, that's the nature of the game. Just like Cat and just OG, even Precious, like you said, you have to throw different bodies. That's what they do for Brunson. So they reverse that for Cat, just getting him, in foul trouble. And last but not least, which there's a few other things, but like Murray, like, you know, Han asked him, oh, about how Murray, he had that pep in his step, because everybody want to come to the Garden. That one player that want to come and try to be that Nick killer. Well, he was held in check. Brunson was like, nah, not at my house. Like, that's at Han.
right,
So I love that about them. Like, they stayed poised, even though Denver came within four. Like, they
right.
get battle, and again, that comes from the more you play together, the better you will gel, and each other. Where guys gonna be. They didn't have a lot of, they would have what, six. I think we had there like six turnovers. Compared to uh Denver, they had like 5. Yeah, well, Denver had like,
14.
and they capitalized off of like 23 points off of those turnovers. So, they seizing the moment. Just like, I mean, that was another good game, but I like that Memphis game better. But that repeat from Denver, from November's game, and you carry that over to January. Just like, it's like you left off. You picked up where you left off at. So it was just like a well, rounded game. And I want to ask you a question too. If you got any like any thoughts from what I just said.
What's the question?
Mike Malone gave them a hell of a compliment. He said they're playing so well that you don't see any weakness in their game.
Hmm.
What's your thoughts on that? Do you see any weakness in them?
I think the Knicks' true only weakness that they have is when they don't put effort defensively. I think that's really it. But as of late, and I said this a few games ago, I said because I want to see other guys do it. And I spoke about it with the Memphis game, but I saw it carry over. I was writing down some notes to kind of add some points to what you were saying. The Knicks are finding ways to move without the ball. Do you notice whoever's getting the rebound, they're throwing the one Kevin Love pass up the floor, and we're
Yeah,
getting the easy bucket. They and I'm like, normally we complain because we're like, yo, this was working in X, Y, and Z game, but the Knicks somehow the next game they move away from what's working. It's like they're sticking with, okay, just keep at it, keep chomping at it, and we're gonna keep perfecting what's working for us as a team. And I love that they're doing that. I'm like, wow. And I don't just see one guy do it. I see like they're looking up. They're not trying to dribble the air out the ball and take forever to bring the
Yeah.
ball up. They're grabbing the rebound quick and up the floor. And a lot of teams are not ready for that because they're used to the old slow Knicks bringing
Mm-hmm.
the ball up, getting it stolen because you're trying to do too much dribbling. So I love that they're doing that. And then you touched on the bench. This is what we need to see from the bench. Prove that when you get those minutes out there that you're ready, that you're staying ready, you're reading the game when you're on the bench. So you can see where when your name when Tibbs calls you in, you know where you can go
Yeah.
and what you can kind of adjust and change, or what you could add and bring to the table defensively, or whoever you're covering, whatever the case may be. Read the pockets that are open. And I just feel like the bench is even clicking together and they're playing hungrier and more gritty. And that's what you need. Those guys like Deuce, Cam, Precious, they can be tough and gritty and get out there and do the dirty work out there where you don't just see it necessarily falling under Josh Hart and OG. I want to see those guys from the bench be able to come in and play like that as well. So I like that those they're coming in and the bench seems to have came alive as of late, which is a good thing because and I think that's another reason why he made that comment because old Knicks, it was just our starters was our heavy forefront of guys who was getting the job done. Now it's like, yo, all nine, they got options. And that's I even heard Alan Hahn say it when the post game, the MSG post game, he said, and this is what I'm talking about with the Knicks. It's so hard for teams to defend the Knicks because the Knicks have so many weapons. You
Well,
can go
yeah.
to hell, you could go to OG. It's not old school where we just had Randall and Brunson. Boring. Teams was able to read that.
And and
We
and,
had
and
no options.
guys would stay in the corner just like waiting for the ball to be
Waiting for the ball to be thrown. Them Quentin Grimes,
that. Yep. Yes. Moving
RJ,
the ball. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
quickly.
The list goes on.
Yo, they would stand like that's what I'm saying. If the Knicks continue to play unselfish basketball, move without the basketball, cut to the basket, because that's another thing that I see that I love that I'm seeing from them. Guys are cutting without the basket. That's what's making them win and
Yeah.
can be successful. You can't stand around on offense and wait to watch Brunson go to work. Watch
Yeah.
Mikel when he's trying to get in the paint, or watch Carl. And that's another thing I love with Towns. Towns doesn't just settle for the three. I don't want to see bigs that's just comfortable behind the three. He does his fake. He gets down in the paint. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I mean. You got to be able to switch it up. But I
Yeah.
love that I'm seeing, and it's again, I said I want to see other guys doing it. Like, I want to see Deuce. I want to see Cam get more involved in cutting to the basket because what I love that I'm seeing also is that you don't just see the same guy throwing the pass. Sometimes it's Josh who's finding guys.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's Carl Anthony throwing the passes. It's a different array of guys who's finding the cutters and they're cutting. And I don't think, well, that's what's working because the defense now is like, first of all, you're making them have to play defense.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
causing the defense to tire out. They're having to run around. They're having to chase after guys. So that's what the Knicks have to keep continuing to do. Like, I really hope that they're truly watching the film, not just sitting there because you have to sit there and watch the film, but truly studying the film to figure out, well, how do we get better as we move on to face, I don't care who's your next opponent. Because
Yeah.
I still do believe that the Knicks are still in that stance where they have to prove that they can beat OKC,
Cleveland
Boston, Cleveland.
and
I was gonna
the
say that.
Rockets.
Oh, and Houston too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But they can't beat Dallas either for some reason. Because Kyrie does whatever he wants. Salsa dance all over the floor. Nobody could guard him. He'll carry the whole team on his back, and for some reason, Dallas will still win the game. I don't understand it.
Because Luca's out.
Yeah, yeah. So this is what I'm saying is that the Knicks don't go back. Not saying they are, but don't revert back to your old ways. Keep chipping away and getting better. That's the goal. Keep getting better. And I think that as the Knicks are doing this, it's impressive also because, knock on wood, everybody stays healthy, but they're doing it without a true solid center.
Yeah, yep.
You're missing another shooting guard, a solid wing on the team as well. There's a fat question mark of, do you keep Mitchell Robinson? I think they should wait. I think some people feel like move on. I don't know, who do you replace Mitchell Robinson's position with if the Knicks were to exercise that trading him, because who's really available? But again, I don't put it past this Knicks front office. They've proven that they can get whoever they want. Money talks, will make
Yep.
it happen some way or another. But do you think the way the Knicks are playing that this is enough, not
Mm,
just for the first round, not for the second round? Well, you know what? Yeah, let's say for the first round, the second round, because yes, we know the Knicks can make the playoffs. Yes, we know the Knicks can make the first round, the second round. But I think the issue is with the Knicks is that I think even with a healthy roster, in my opinion, I think what may happen is that the Knicks are going to get too tired. They're going to be winded, gasped for air, and they have nothing left to give. They're trying, the effort is there, they're hustling, but it's not enough because they're tired. And I think part of them being tired is that they're not playing, they haven't played like they've been playing so far this season, where they're playing harder and not smarter. So, and then also we also didn't have enough shooters. That was another part of it too. We didn't have options of offensively. So I don't know. Do you think that this roster that we have now, is this enough from what you've seen with the 9 game winning streak, this what 4 or 5 game winning streak? You see the potential, you see where they can go. They're gonna get better by the time they get to this, but is that enough to get you to the Eastern Conference Finals?
I would say no, and only because as we all know, as you go down and you're further along, you will advance. And
It gets
like I
hard.
said, it's another whole animal. We need true rim protection.
Right.
Like, yeah, you got shooters, like but you got shooters, but you need that rim protection because we know Cat is not a defensive stopper.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that's why I would like to keep Mitch and a healthy Mitch if he could just come back, because I would like for him to protect that paint. Like, definitely, like, because we're gonna meet up with OKC again before the season is out.
Mhm.
Yeah, he's not coming back before February 8th because he hasn't even started doing anything because that's the
Yeah.
next time we play Boston. Okay, so and then we that they could win it, but just the further along you go, that this it gets harder and because everybody turns it up a notch. Um, so the Eastern Conference Final, I mean, I would like, because that's my team, and I have full faith that ride or die. I'm going with them no matter what. But I would like to see a true center in that position. Um,
Yeah,
and
because you need somebody to get you some rebounds.
yeah, rebound.
You
Yeah,
need blocks, you need stops, you
yeah,
need that person that's going to make guys have to alter their decision making going to the paint or their shot.
yep.
And I don't think the Knicks really have enough right now. I will say though, and I'm number one in being very critical of the Knicks defensive. The Knicks have looked a lot more locked in defensively.
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not seeing them allowing guys to go past them. They looked a lot more. The focal point is it. They just look more locked in defensively. They don't look like they a step or two too slow, and they're trailing. They're playing guys on the side of their body and their hip and not getting in front of them or cutting off the driving lane. As with what they used to do, they just look a lot more focused defensively, which is really refreshing, as you said, to see. But I agree with you. I don't know if that's enough because then you got to count on good health. But I think that even if you have that, I don't even think that it would be necessarily an issue of the minutes being a problem per se, because if Tibbs continues to keep giving the bench the opportunity, then we won't really have to worry about that come postseason.
Yeah.
But I think that you need that, you know, that center defender, Mitchell Robinson in there, who's going to be aggressive. He's hungry. He's blocking. Who can help you out if Towns is on the bench, and who can hold those big men, Porzingis, Embiid. I mean, I don't know if Embiid's going to be there, possibly,
But
but
you got Cleveland. They got them
right, right.
bigs.
I was going to say that, like, when you have these other teams and they have a twin tower, and we only have one tower, it's not really enough. So, and I've said this before, and I'll continue to say this: Mitchell Robinson is not going to be the savior or the answer, but he's going to be part of the solution. As long as the other four guys, whoever that mix up of four guys is that's on the floor with Mitchell Robinson, stay and remain locked in defensively, the Knicks can really cause damage and
Okay.
really cause problems for a lot of teams. And that's what's going to make this Knicks team a better team. If the Knicks continue to build on their defensive efforts, teams are going to be like, yo, this ain't that same old roster. But again, this is why I'm excited to see the upcoming games for February and March.
Oh, for sure.
This is a nice little roster, a schedule shakeup. You got to be able to prove you can beat teams like you couldn't beat Chicago.
Oh, that's
Okay,
yeah.
you was in your figuring out stage. I get it, but when we're past that now. Now we're in clicking stage. We're together. So now that we're figuring out and we're coming together, our continuity's coming together. You got to beat teams like Chicago. You got to beat teams like Dallas. You got to figure out how to beat Boston, OKC, Cleveland. You got to figure out how to beat those teams. You can't allow trap games. And again, I know that in professional sports, you're not going to win every game.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to beat those teams so that when you meet up with a team four times, five times in a season, you only beat them one time. Why?
Mm,
So the Knicks play next Saturday, Los Angeles, right?
yep.
You can't allow LeBron to come in, and he's already tweeting he's the king of New York,
For real?
standing on the New York court. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't see that.
King James, sir, whatever your name is, LeBron James. Stay over there in Los Angeles and figure out what y'all doing over there. Don't allow him to come here and feel like he's gonna do whatever he feel like doing. You got to stop whoever else is on that bench on the Lakers and not allow them to come over here and do what the Knicks have been known to do, which is allow guys who are no name guys who are from the bench come in and all of a sudden want to shoot lights out and go off.
Yep.
So, like I said, the Knicks, I really, really like what I'm seeing with them. They look to be focused and locked in. I'm not going to get too high. I'm damn sure not going to go low. But
Well, I think as long as Tibbs keep that 9-man rotation, the Knicks are in good shape because the minutes are dwindling. Like they're not
yeah,
playing, like Josh said, now the minutes police can relax. So, he's such a wise guy. Like if they were to as long as Tibbs keep that 9-man rotation going, the Knicks can definitely be scary. And then when Mitch come back, yeah, I think somebody's gonna go to the bench, maybe Shamit. But you still got 9 man. You still and hell now you got 10 if you want to go that deep. Because most teams are 10 and 11 deep. But if he stays with this lineup that he has, um, the Knicks can definitely do some damage and make it there. You know, barring health and everything, I could see them. And me personally, like I said, maybe I'm just being biased. You know, against with them. Like I believe that wholeheartedly. Like the Knicks can go there. I think that they can definitely make it to the Eastern Conference.
But even if whoever goes to the bench, stay ready.
Oh, for sure.
Stay ready. Don't get too comfortable on that bench. Stay ready in case Tibbs has to call your number. Um, we go over the upcoming schedule. The Knicks play LA Saturday at home. So the Knicks have been at home for a while. Um, play LA 8:30 to Saturday. That'll be a good game. Then I'm happy they're not playing on Friday because they be clashing with me trying to watch Unrivaled, and that's so annoying because I'm having to flip back and forth. But
Fiber comes on Saturdays too.
I know, but it comes on a little later. It starts at least at the second. It would
Yeah.
the Knicks play at Unrivaled second game time, so at least I could watch the first game comfortably and then flip back and forth. But the Knicks play Saturday against LA. Then they play against next Monday against Houston. That game, we all will be locked in watching that one. I really want to see what the Knicks are going to do Saturday, especially, but against Houston. This Houston team, young, quick, fast. I don't care who you are. We don't care what team you are. We ready.
Yeah, yeah, man,
Bring
that's
it.
it's sort of because you got to realize when Boston won that title last year, Ime, he Missoula what was a student, he was an assistant, so it was like Ime, got those guys off and running, and a lot of those things they didn't forget, and so Houston is like mimicking what Boston is doing. Like
Mhm.
if they keep that core group together, man, next year, because look at the damage they're doing now, and this is
Right,
like he's just the first year coach. So if they keep that group together, and he's the coach, which he will be, like man, the
right,
sky's the limit for them. So they're gonna come in because they did beat the Knicks, that first game. So of course, now somebody they want to come to the Garden and proclaim this is their house, but it's up to the Knicks to to say otherwise.
right, right. And the crazy thing about it is Houston wasn't in nobody's conversation
Yeah,
unless you was from Houston. That's what the Knicks are doing. They're becoming part of the conversation.
yeah,
No one expected the Knicks to be, I mean, outside of Knicks fans, to really even be sitting at third. I think a lot of people were probably like, and there's still some people I'm sure that's like in the media world, the sports media world, that's like, they'll probably be at a fifth or sixth seed at
mm,
best. Because they don't have Randall and they don't have Isaiah Hartenstein. So my expectations and the standards for them have gone lower. And it's unfortunate, but the Knicks are becoming part of the conversation because people are like, wait a minute. Jokic even gave them such a great compliment and said, yeah, they're a top five contending team.
yeah, yeah,
So I think that the Knicks are proven that, like Houston, we're not a team. F around and find out. Because on any given day, the Knicks will play like how they've been playing these last few games. And I think that the other thing I think that this Knicks team is working on is becoming more consistent, and trying to have that consistency on a night in, night out basis. And that was one of my keys is like continue to get better each game, be consistent, not just with winning, but like be consistent on the defense, be consistent on the way you're playing unselfish ball, the passes, the effort. Be consistent. Stay ready. The bench, I love how they're coming alive because Deuce is due for some good games.
yeah. He's
And
due for
very
a
off and
breakout.
on with the injuries, cold, this sore, that strain. It's been a lot of back and forth with him. And Precious is playing like, yeah, I'm gonna get me signed to a good contract and get the money next season, which is what I was expecting from him. So again, I think this team is figuring it out, and we have to continue to give them grace. And unfortunately, we have to continue to be patient. And I also think that I've said it before, there's a little pressure on this roster. There's pressure on the players, there's pressure on Tibbs. Like, we're not trying to, and if the front office is making the right changes necessarily, then yeah, the pressure's there. We're not, this is not the old Knicks team that used to get booed in the garden, that used to just take anybody. They're not doing that anymore. This is a new day. We're not doing that anymore. We are contending to a championship. It's been too many decades and years. We're not doing that anymore. We're not, Leon's not playing those games. And that's what, as fans, we want to continue to see. I don't want to see any more just, you're just taking anybody, just moving money from here, owing guys checks. Like, this was some kind of union job. You
You,
play Joe Kim Noah checks and he don't even play for the team. What's going on? This is what's going on here. So I'm happy that the Knicks aren't doing that. It's ridiculous. But the Knicks play the Lakers on Saturday. Then they play Houston next Monday. That'll be a great matchup. Listen, they play back to back because they play next Tuesday against Toronto. Toronto's won 5 games in a row as well. They're still stinking
yeah.
up the joint in Canada, but they're trying to figure something out over there. RJ is, at least, because he's been balling this season.
Oh yeah.
And then we have next week a nice matchup against Boston. I'm really looking forward to see what the Knicks do against Boston. I really am. And I
Well,
don't even know why I'm going out ahead because I'm acting like we're not going on a Sunday, but I'm gonna still take your predictions and see what you have. So again, they have the Lakers on Saturday, then they play Monday against Houston, Tuesday against Toronto, and then next Saturday against Boston.
I can see them taking all four of those games
Wow.
for sure. Yeah, because that Houston game, that's definitely a revenge game, and if the way they're gelling, and that chemistry is, they're locked in, like the Knicks are locked in for life, like just about. So I'm going like they can definitely, they're gonna be home. They just got just play smart. They know. I'm quite sure they're watching a lot of film on Houston. You know, um, and to back up with that Saturday's game, like although AD is supposed to be out, I wouldn't be surprised come Saturday he's better. Like, are you kidding me? He's
Guys always are healed every time they play the Knicks.
yep.
Magically, they're healed.
I mean,
They're
not that
healing.
deciding factor, but it does make it more a little harder, not much, but I'm still going 4-0 for the Knicks.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I got the Knicks 3-1
Wow.
because I'm not sure where that one game could come from. I don't know. Again, and I'm not even just saying the next week's game against Boston. It can be a trap game against Toronto, who we beat, but maybe the Knicks have an off night, and
Yeah, yeah.
you don't know where it's going to come from. But listen, I don't care about King James, AD, whoever they got on that team. Figure it out and beat those guys. Figure out and beat Houston. You got to figure out and beat Toronto. You have to. So, has anybody in particular stood out for you from these games? Any particular player that you feel like you like what you're seeing,
I,
whether it's offensively or defensively?
I'm liking what I'm seeing from the bench these last 2-3 games. Um, I would say like Precious. You
Yeah.
know, you got to realize last season, man, oh man, boy, the people they was not feeling him. Even the beginning of this season, and he was out, so you can't judge him by that. But like just what he's doing. Like you see just the impact, defensively. You know, remember he would be rounding the basket, and he either wouldn't take the shot or he missed. So
Right.
he's putting in that work. We saw it last season. So and just overall the team collectively, really. But I would definitely say, and I don't know if that's attributed to Tibbs just trusting the bench more, you know, um, and he's giving them that playing time, whatever. But I just like the bench and just collectively the team for the most part.
Yeah, Precious seems, I said this last season, he seemed like he found a home
Yeah,
playing with the Knicks, but
sure
he
did.
seems a lot more energized this season. Because
Mhm.
that was my issue with Precious. Like, I felt like he's just too like chill for me. I was like, you gotta get your energy up. You know how a lot of people say how we are always real chill and relaxed. Like I felt like that's Precious on the floor. Like he needed to energize up and bring more energy. I'm not looking for him to be a very vocal player, like how some guys are very vocal and they'll, chanting and ranting and this, that.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for him to do that, but I think it was just like he also maybe it was nerves and he was a little too in his head to try to make sure he was, performing when he was out there. But when we had the injuries last year and he had to come in a good amount of games, he did well. I think he was maybe the energy from the Knicks doing so well, and that was infectious and it carried over to him. But I feel like this season, maybe because it's like his second year here, and he's like, okay, I
Hmm.
know the lay of the land and the plays and the schemes and what Tibbs is looking for. We see Tibbs is trusting him. I
Yeah.
think it's a combination of that and that he's playing to make sure he gets the type of contract that he wants. You know what I mean? So whether that's with the Knicks or another team, and another team is definitely other teams are going to be interested in Precious Achua
Oh,
for sure.
they'll see his value if
Yeah,
the
for
Knicks
sure.
and they do right now. But he was mic'd up a few games ago, so
I saw that. I
that's,
saw
that's,
that.
that,
I saw it. I was like, okay, yeah, I think that I agree. I think that the bench seems to be coming alive and they seem to be it's like the bench has entered the chat. And I'm happy that they have figured out, I think the one guy that I do want to see he has to continue to figure out, and I said this on our last episode, is Shamit.
oh yeah, yeah,
Shamit has to be aggressive and stop being a little too passive. I think it's also that I don't think it's that he's scared to shoot. I think Shamit is not positioning himself in the right spots offensively. He does. I like what I see from him defensively, but I think offensively, he has to just like when you open, take that shot, man. Don't pass it to whoever. You now, granted, I don't want him just going to try to take a quick shot and then he get blocked or it's an air ball. I don't want him doing that. But create a little space if you need to. Get the shot off because I don't know with him. It's unfortunate because I don't know about for you, but for me, when I saw him in preseason, I was like, wow. And I didn't feel like his level of play in the preseason was like oh it's a little step up from G League. Like I really like what I've seen from him.
yeah,
I just feel like he's not in the right spot offensively on the floor where because and I don't think it's Brunson sharing that ball. It's not him. I feel like he has trust in who he's passing the ball to out there. I just think that Shaman has to be a bit more aggressive, you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
because he's like a little too. I don't know, and I'll look, and I mean, yeah, he sometimes he's only getting 5 to 7 minutes, but you could throw up a couple of shots in that time
And not just that, he had like two turnovers when he first came. Remember that one? Him and Towns was like right under, like by the baseline, like,
in
and
the
he
way.
the Towns and like, and I think it was Clyde said, "You're the point guard. That's you can't give him the ball right there. As a point guard, you gotta be smarter than that." So maybe he, like I said, I don't know if it's the lack of playing time he feels he's not getting, but you still have to make
I
the. when
I
that number.
think he's rushing too much too.
Mm,
He has to slow
yeah,
down,
mm,
allow the game to come to him, and stop. He's like he's going too quick. Like slow it down.
yeah,
You're trying to run here, you're trying to get there, you're trying to get the ball. Like, chill out. You know what I mean? And I think that once he does that, it'll work in his favor and he'll be able to get off those shots that he wants to get. So I don't know. I think that I just want to see him come alive a little bit more and be able to be a true asset that we can bring off the bench at any given time and he can give you those shots. And also my thing with him too is like if you're not able to get the shots off that you want, drive.
yeah,
Use your speed to your advantage and drive to the basket. So I want to see him do that. Like we'll see Deuce do that where he'll cross over, get to the basket. You
yeah.
sometimes have to do that. You can't always rely on just shooting a three. It
Mm,
doesn't work out for all guys because I feel like what I don't want to happen to Shaman is that he falls into that pigeonhole like Grimes did.
yeah,
And now you just got to worry about shooting your shots. And yeah, we know you could hit them, but maybe you're not always hitting them like that because for whatever reasons you're off, you're rushing your shot, whatever the case may be. So yeah, I want to see him be able to come alive and contribute. But I agree with you with Precious. I like what I'm seeing from him. He's getting a nice set of amount of minutes. I like that Deuce has entered the building and he's come alive. Campaign. Sometimes I think with Cam we could get a little bit more out of him,
mm,
just a little bit more. And I also feel like with him handling the ball, I feel like it could be a little less sloppy.
yeah,
It looks a little too with the right defender. I'm gonna steal that ball from you. You're looking a little too sloppy. So I need him to tighten it up just a little bit. I'm not looking for perfection, but it just looks a little too.
mm-hmm,
It's not the way when Brunson have it. I'm comfortable. I can sit down comfortably. I know Brunson is, even though we've seen Brunson get a little sloppy once or twice here and there, but I don't know. I think with Cam, he just gotta be a little bit more protective of that ball when he's playing point. Um, and what about Towns? I'm a little concerned with that thumb. Every so often you see him holding it, grimacing. I mean the three is going down. He looks, but I don't know. It's a little
yeah.
concerning for me.
I am too, but he's. I think it's gotten better the last two games. Be Prior to that, you saw like maybe because he was like 1 for 10 or something. So he kind of came out of the slump somewhat, but I'm not. His field is not that it's not horrible. So he's
Hmm.
still hitting them at a decent clip, you know, and he's still rebounding. I mean, his rebounds is not like he hasn't given us like 16 or 18 or 20, but he's still rebounding at a decent clip, and he's hitting them. So as long as he's able to play and other things, his passing and you know, I'll take it.
Yeah, he seemed like he's come out of that slump. Um, we didn't get to see Bridges and OG both go off against Denver, but OG seems to come out of his slump that he was in. He had a couple of games during the 9 game win streak, a couple after that, he was a little up and down.
Yeah, yeah,
But he seems to have found his stride again as long as OG stays healthy. And, this is what we want for all of our Knicks players. But Bridges was a little off, which is okay. Every night is not going to be a night.
exactly.
I'm happy that they get to rest before Saturday's game, especially Josh, because I know before every game, recent games, he's been questionable before the games, but I guess he's been thugging it out and he's like, yo, I'm gonna just play the game. Um, but yeah, overall though, I have to say I'm impressed with what I see for the Knicks. I just don't want I'm not gonna get comfortable and I don't want the Knicks to get comfortable because teams go on runs, just like some teams could start losing games, and that'll be an advantage to the Knicks and other teams that are not in first or that second seeding. But I just don't want the Knicks to get too comfortable and then you become an up and down team. You win two or three and then you lose two or three.
Yeah.
The consistency has to stay there and for them to be able to, stay in that third spot. I really don't even want the Knicks to dip into fourth.
And me either. Yeah.
Stay in that third seat if you can
Yep.
and continue to create that distance from you and whoever's in fourth. So that's why it's so important. Do you feel like the Knicks, with the way they're playing, they'll have more than 52 wins?
Okay, they got 34 games left. They're sitting at 32-16, which that means they played 48. Um, 32, 40. Yeah, I can even see them, with 34 games, I could see them taking definitely 20 of those, or better. That means they're gonna lose what, 14 out of the 34. Um, so yeah, I can definitely see them, you know, taking at least 20 of those right there, maybe 22. Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
so that means that's a 52 game season. So I'm gonna go even 53 or 54. So
I
I-
think I had them at 57 or 58 wins.
I'll say
I'm
that means
setting the bar a little higher. Yeah.
I see. So I thought I was an optimist. Like, hey,
Yeah.
got me.
Well, there was a lot of Knicks fans who had them below. They had them at like 47, 48. I think there was a few people I saw at like maybe 48 wins or whatever. But yeah, so we'll see. We'll see what the Knicks do. This is a short show because Diva Lock's got to go. But salute to the chat. Salute to Nostalgic Nick, aka the Minute Police. Salute to you. Salute to Wonder Woman. Salute to Chop Low.
Salute everybody.
Salute to John McDonald. He said our bench is coming through with great minutes and points. Also, we have learned to withstand runs by opposing teams. Very true. Brunson takes over and starts distributing the ball. 15 assists against Denver. Yeah, Brunson is definitely moving the rock and distributing well. He said we're 19 and 1 when we have 30 plus assists. Knicks don't have a score when we have team scoring, but certain players can go off. Yeah, I agree. I saw Ian Begley posted that the Knicks is fourth in the NBA in opponent turnovers, eighth in defensive efficiency, first in net rating, and first in assist to turnover ratio during the 5 game win streak.
Oh wow.
Yeah, salute to Shaw Powers. Salute to you. Parish Duggar salute said, I'm 99% satisfied now that Tibbs is resting, guys. We look faster and better. I agree. The Knicks for sure look faster and better. They do, and they look a lot more comfortable playing together as well.
Come on.
Nostalgic Nick said Mitch will be traded. Interesting. We'll see. I don't know. I think the Knicks should keep him, but anything is possible with this Knicks front office. Salute to Jarrell. Salute Jarrell.
Well,
Jarrell will be on later with Steph, Jeff, and Ajay on Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk. Always a great show. Who else? Salute to Old Head. Yeah, the Knicks are one of those F around and find out teams now. Teams are being put on notice. If you play the Knicks, you really may F around and find out. He's Old has said, as hot as the Knicks are playing, we're capable of beating everybody, including the Celtics. Yeah, Diva always says that the Knicks can beat any team in this league, but they have to prove that they can beat those teams. Shaman is a career journeyman. I would have preferred Chuma Okiki for a taller player with all around game. Yeah.
I
Salute to Paula Bonner
salute chat.
and salute to Kareem Grant. Salute Kareem. Always showing love. All right. Until next time, everybody. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Enjoy Saturday's game. The Knicks have a nice break. I'll probably see some of you in the chat later on Dope Soul Sports and Knicks Talk. Thank you for rocking with us. Hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, show some love to us. And yeah, we'll see y'all Sunday. Peace, everybody.